The Utah Jazz played the Sacramento Kings last night in what was their second straight game without All-Star Lauri Markkanen. They needed someone to step up if they wanted to keep the game close. That would end up being Walker Kessler, who's been great all season and will likely finish top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. But he took his game to a completely different level last night. He finished with 31 points, 11 rebounds, a steal, and a block. The team ended up losing, but for most of the night, the rookie Kessler looked like the best player on the floor. He's gotten a lot of attention already due to his inclusion in the infamous Rudy Gobert trade. Kessler has almost twice as many blocks as Rudy in about 300 less minutes this season. There are people out there that would argue Walker is already the better player. He's a defensive menace, and he's already one of the best rim protectors in the league as a rookie, which is super uncommon. He's been a blocking and rebounding machine in year 1, but for most of the season he hasn't been as impressive on the offensive end. People seem to assume he'll be a career defensive specialist, but he's better than that. He's shown more offensive flashes in year 1 than Rudy ever did in Utah. Kessler isn't strictly a roller or dunker spot type guy. He has some genuine creation ability as well as really good touch. On top of those flashes throughout the year, we were shown an offensive masterclass last night against one of the league's best centers, no less. He's a future superstar for the Utah Jazz and can legitimately be a Jokic or Embiid level center. He's already elite defensively, and if he can become a 20-plus point per game scorer, he will be one of the league's most impactful players. To truly understand how good Kessler is and how unbelievably high his ceiling is, let's take a look at his rookie season so far. Before we get into the sky-high upside of Walker Kessler's game, if you enjoy my content and watched a few videos of mine, think about subscribing. 96% of my viewers are actually not subscribed, so if you watched me before and enjoy the content, drop a sub and comment down below. It really helps the channel. Walker Kessler was selected with the 22nd overall pick in last year's NBA draft by the Memphis Grizzlies, who moved him to Minnesota on draft night. He was seen as someone who could potentially back up Karl Towns, but likely not much of an impact player as a rookie. However, the day after the opening of 2022 free agency, the Timberwolves agreed to a trade for multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. Walker Kessler was included in the package that got sent to Utah in return. So after only about a month of being in the league, Kessler had already been traded twice. It appears neither of those teams knew exactly what they had on their hands. This was honestly a win for the rookie, who's come to be known as Blocker Kessler. The Jazz had no proven center heading into the 2023 season, as they didn't bring back Hassan Whiteside. They also had Udoka Azubuike on the roster, but he hadn't really done anything in the league yet. However, despite all the stuff I just said, the team still didn't really start starting Walker full-time until December. Since becoming a starter, he's flourished. He's averaged 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game, while shooting 73% from the field. He's not an all-star level player yet or anything, but his production for rookies is phenomenal. To understand how good Kessler's been and how high his ceiling is, let's take a look at the individual aspects of his game. I'm going to start with a piece that many wouldn't expect first, and that's his rebounding. Since becoming a starter, Kessler has averaged 10.4 rebounds per game. That number would be the 16th highest per game for a rookie since the ABA-NBA merger, tied with Larry Bird. If you narrow that down to since 2000, it would be the 4th highest. He's an extremely gifted rebounder, but because of how good he is as a shot blocker, I feel as if his talent on the boards has gone overlooked. His over 4 offensive rebounds per game might be the most impressive part, as he's creating easy looks for himself and more opportunities for his team. Now let's look at the blocks, as that is what everyone thinks of first with him. Honestly, that's fair, as it might be the craziest part of his game. He's averaged 2.7 blocks per game as a starter this season, which would be the 7th highest for a rookie since the merger. It would also rank number 1 since we hit 2000. His number as a starter would rank him as 2nd in the entire NBA, behind only Jaren Jackson Jr.'s 3.0, and he's the likely Defensive Player of the Year. His ability to block shots at his age is unmatched, especially for the era of basketball that we live in now. He's quick on his feet and extremely adept at reading when players are going to go up for shots. His timing and hand-eye coordination is impeccable. Now let's talk about his efficiency. He shot 73% from the field this season and currently leads the league as a rookie. That's just completely unheard of. Most rookies struggle with efficiency coming in and have to take a couple seasons to adjust to being guarded by NBA defenders. However, Kessler's field goal percentage this year is the best in the league and over 10% better than his last year in college. A lot of that has to do with where his shots are coming from. 93% of Kessler's field goal attempts have come within 5 feet and 98% have come within 8 feet. He's not exactly venturing out to a lot of different offensive looks. He's taken 217 layups and has shot 64.5% on them, well above the previously reported league average of 58%. Even though he's taking efficient shots, he's still doing it better than anyone else. However, we have seen some cool offensive potential even in small doses. He shot 50% on hook shots this season and 60% on finger rolls. If he can continually add a hook shot or a post fade or even like an elbow jumper to his game, it would make him extremely dangerous. He did take 50 threes at Auburn last season and even hit 10 of them. He's shown a willingness to work on his game, and I think he could come back at a completely different level next season if the Jazz work with him on his shooting in the offseason. Now let's just spend a little time talking about his game last night against the Kings, where Walker set his new career high. He finished with 31 points, 11 rebounds, a block, and a steal. Sure, the Jazz lost, but without All-Star Lauri Markkanen, that was kind of expected. What wasn't expected, though, was for the Jazz to keep up with the number one offense in NBA history and lose by less than 10 points. That was thanks to Kessler. His extremely efficient 14 of 16 shooting night allowed the team to stay in the game, and he really had no problem giving Domantas Sabonis the work in the post. He was awesome, and even though he'd been great for most of the season, it was kind of a breakout game for him. Walker Kessler has surpassed all expectations of him when he was selected with the 22nd overall pick last year. He's leading the league in field goal percentage as a rookie and is very high in both blocks and rebounds as well. It's one of the best rebounding and blocking seasons for a rookie of all time, and he already has people questioning if he's better than Rudy Gobert, the guy he was traded for. He's a transcendent defensive player and has a very bright future, but it's even brighter than most people think. He dropped 31 and 11 last night and showed an offensive side to his game that many didn't think he had. However, he showed a willingness to shoot threes at Auburn and does have the ability to grow on that end of the floor. With the defensive player he already is, if he can add more shooting and scoring to his game going forward, he can truly become one of the league's best players. Walker Kessler's ceiling is higher than you think, and he's the future of the Utah Jazz. Thanks for watching. I'm Herm. Have a good one.